G'day everyone, me again. As I mentioned in the last video, I said I would do a review of the builds that I've done in the first half of 2021. Obviously it's the 1st of July today, so we've had 6 months of this year already. I nearly blinked and missed it. So the first kit that I built, for no reason other than it's Matchbox and I love them, was my 1/76 scale Matchbox Comet. You will recall that I used the base that they provide, but as you can see it was smothered with I think it's mixed, it's called crushed grass, and then I really dirtied it and made it look muddy and whatever, as if it had been absolutely driven over, or the weather had been bloody awful. So that was my first build of this year. Now I must warn you that all the builds that I'm going to show you you've seen previously, so you may decide that this video isn't going to be particularly interesting. So on to the next one. So this next one was a result of a group build that Joachim and Marcus were running, which was called the Panzer Yaga group build. I think I just managed to get the build finished in time for the end of this, and it featured in their finale photos. Again, this is Matchbox kit. This is the Panzer Yaga, Jag Panzer 4 L70, and I wanted to do something slightly different. Obviously I could have done a World War II vehicle. This, if you remember, was trying to represent vehicles that had been basically used as static fortifications, I think by Bulgaria on, was it the Turkish border? And they were still there up until 2000 and I don't think it was 10 or 12 or something, and then the authorities decided to remove them. A Jag Panzer 4 similar to this was actually still on site up until that point. Really enjoyed this build, something a bit different. Obviously having fun with putting all those tufts on there, and I think this was like a diorama, a bit more technical than the Comet that I've done previously. On to the third one. So this one's the longest diorama I did for this year so far, and this was part of Greg Riley's T34 group build. Again, I could have just done the Matchbox T34 as a standard build and just have it on the road or something, but I decided to do something different, especially after I'd recently watched a video where I believe it was some Russian guys actually found a T34 in a swamp, and so they dragged it out in order to either have it in a museum or possibly get it running again. There are some amazing things that are happening with T34s that are being found and restarted. So again, you may recall that at the time I finished this, the snow effect was just loose on the dio, and a couple of you guys, apologies, I can't remember who suggested to me, but the Railway Scenic Snow that I said I was using, you told me that you could make it up into a paste just with PVA, and then you could just put it on and it would set, and it would still set in a fashion that looks like snow. So that's what I did. After the final reveal, I think it was a couple of weeks later, I was looking for something to do and took all the snow off and did exactly that, and it worked a treat, it really did. What I tried to do was get the effect of these guys walking up and down here, yeah, really happy with this. I've just noticed this piece here that's stuck on there that needs to come off. There we go. So yeah, really pleased with this dio. Used the water effects on this one, which I haven't done on any of the other dios, so that was interesting. And again, getting the marsh effect at the back where the tank's been pulled across. with some fibres and stuff that Greg Riley had given me. That was a load of fun. On to the next one. So this one was built for the Armistice group build that was being run by military modeller Paul. Now, I said at the beginning of the year that I intended to do a lot of builds that were Matchbox orientated, but one of my favourite Airfix 176 kits has got to be this Cromwell. Just a lovely kit to put together, and you know, I could build this over and over again. Really do like it. I bought some railway figures which were of a similar scale, and so this was representing a comet that was going through a French town or something, and basically the tank commander's asking for directions to the local cafe or something like that. The base is a resin base, it's not any of the Matchbox bases. Somebody did think it was perhaps the base from the Puma armoured car, but this was an aftermarket resin base. Again, quite a simple base, moving back towards something a bit more basic, but still having loads of fun doing this. Okay guys, so my biggest build so far this year, which is obviously RMS Titanic, and this was built as part of Big Charlie's birthday group build. You may recall that he suggested that you built something that represented, he actually said build something that represented the year that you were born, so you know, I think he was looking more towards cars and things like that. Now obviously I wasn't born when Titanic when Titanic was launched, but the date that she sailed from Ireland, which was the 11th of April, is my birthday, and that's why I chose to do Titanic. One or two issues with this build you may recall, but nevertheless I am so happy to have this on my shelf. It doesn't look too bad at all from a distance. Really happy with it. I was going to give it to somebody, if you remember, whose ancestor actually served on Titanic. It's still my intention to not give them this one, but to try and do better on another one and give them that one. So a lot of fun with this. Okay guys, so you will all remember this. This is my M19, I think with the, is it the M40 that's on the back? Which I did for the big group build, the Jeff run. Now Jeff kindly opens it up to military modelers, so that at least I can join in with something like this, and I really do appreciate it. You will recall that this is setting the scene where Jeff is here and Charlie's here, and something's gone wrong and they're debating on how to fix it. They're still sat on my shelf, still debating on how to fix the problem. The base on this again is this is actually the Matchbox base. Only just managing to fit the build on here. A bit disappointing. I would have liked it a bit bigger, but nevertheless still a load of fun doing both these vehicles. I've got another M40 to do, and I will probably do that and put it on a different dio. The let me think, the Revelry pops of these Matchbox M40s, I think you could do one of two Korean War vehicles, so I will probably do that, setting it in that kind of diorama. Okay guys, not many to go now, in fact only two more after this. This is the MH 172nd Tadpole, which I just decided to build. There was no particular reason to build it. I just wanted to build something World War One to add to my World War One collection, and you may recall that I was just going to build the tank and not do anything further with it, and then I decided to do a diorama, add a couple of figures, and then once it was complete I realised that it was the 100th anniversary of the British Legion, which is why the poppies are there. and so I thought I'd dedicate this build to the British Legion. Loads of fun with making the craters and the landscape there, which basically, if you remember, was just like orchid dust that Greg Riley kindly gives to me. He gets it and then he breaks it down into finer stuff, and I just basically threw that on, and in some places just added a bit of Agrax Earthshade, I think, or something, just to darken the patches. But really enjoyable build, and really pleased with this diorama. So this build, guys, again, it was just something I fancied doing. I'd got the Roden Austin Mark IV armoured car, and I just wanted to go back to doing something a bit simpler. The kit was just so nice. It was just lovely build, and I would happily do it again. The figure is just, I don't know whether it's from the MR set actually, the MR, sorry, 172nd World War One figures that they do. And the base, if you recall, was a top to a glass candle holder that you buy the glass holder with the candle in, and this top comes on, obviously on the top. But when the candle's finished and you chuck the whole thing, you're left with this wooden top. So I used it as a base. Loads of fun doing the diorama on this one, with the different tufts and whatever, and trying to just try and get it as natural as possible. And if you recall, this vehicle is actually set in Ireland, 1920 I think. So this is just like an Irish country lane that this vehicle is, well, it stopped obviously, but loads of fun doing this, great fun. Okay, so to finish off is this diorama, which has possibly been my most creative dio so far, and whether I will ever repeat it I don't know. And you will recall that this is the Panzer II diorama, and again this, although not initially created for the event, I realised that I think 2 days after I'd finished it would be the anniversary of the capitulation of French forces in World War II, so I delayed showing it until that particular date. Loads of stuff going on with this. You've recently seen it. I won't show it all again, just show it from this perspective, which is how I wanted to view this one. But as I say, lots of time, lots of added detail, but a hell of a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. I used to be a person that I just had to churn out models. You know, one year I did 52 models, practically one a week. But for some reason, and I hope it stays like this, I'm just happy to do a model, but then try and present it in you know, in a fashion like this. So that's it. So that's 9 models in the first 6 months of this year. You've just seen the first model that I've done for the second half of this year, which was the Panzer Kampfwagen 35T. But that will be shown as part of, obviously, my review video for July to December later on. Thanks ever so much for watching, and again, I can't say it enough for all the support that you guys have given me, all the kind comments that have motivated me to get through some of that difficult patches of doing some of these dios, and just encourage me to keep going with them and producing them. I really do appreciate it. And that's it. I hope I didn't bore you too much. Look after yourselves, guys, please, and I'll catch up with you soon.